About 37 illegal loan applications, or otherwise known as loan apps, have been delisted from operating in Nigeria by the federal government. This action became necessary to check the harassment Nigerians have had to endure from these apps. Recall that on the 1st of August this year, the federal government advised online platforms to delete unregistered loan apps without regulatory approval or those who violate the limited interim regulatory or registration framework and guidelines for digital lending, 2022 guidelines. The illegal operations of some loan apps in the country and their impact on the Nigerian economy is our focus on the program this evening. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I am your carrier, Clinton. Joining me in the studio to talk about the listing of loan applications is Haniel Jafaru. Haniel is IT and cybersecurity expert. He's also the executive director, HTC Academy. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me.
Also joining us via Zoom is Dr. Vincent Olatunji, the National Commissioner and CEO, Nigeria Data Protection Commission. Thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Now, I'll start with you, Dr. Vincent. What are loan apps according to the law, and what makes a loan app legal?
Thank you very much. I think before we talk about the legality, it's really important to look at general backgrounds, how they operate, and the impact on the economy. You know that it's like moving from physical banks. In Nigeria, we have about 27 physical banks now with bricks and blocks. Whereas digital platforms, you don't need to really operate any physical office before you operate. And what they do, yes, they have solutions. They have digital platforms through which people can save money, borrow money, trade, and do so many things. And actually, when they came to Nigeria, it was like a free-for-all kind of a thing. People just come in and they start advertising, and you have people subscribing to their services. Unfortunately, the way they've been operating in Nigeria has led to a lot of serious problems in terms of giving out loans to people, and if they default after 2-3 times, they start doing so many things to rubbish them and to tarnish their image. And this was why we really came in to see how we could sanitize the ecosystem. And in terms of regulation, ideally, financial transactions are regulated by the CBN, but the digital lending companies, because that a lot of states issue licenses through their Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and some don't even have any operating license, so they just go online and do whatever they like. But with the new move that government has made, it's getting better now, because now they have to register and they get clearance from Federal Consumers Copyright Protection Commission. And before they will be given such clearance, they will have to get our clearance from the Nigeria Data Protection Commission. And as at the last count, I think they've registered about 181 of them. And if any of them is not performing well, they are properly regulated now. We can monitor the activities and know what they are doing. So I think that is where we are for now. Thank you.
Okay, now, Haniel, just add what Dr. Vincent said there. I know some time ago I realized that there were just a few of them, but all of a sudden, everywhere you just on your data, you just see loan app will just pop up, and there will be a lot of adverts. So it keeps me kind of wondering. Everybody wants to own a loan app. What's the catch in it for them?
The catch is the ease to access the funds, because you can practically decide to make, in fact, you spend more time applying to get the money that you need than the time the money takes to be, the amount or the funds takes to be approved. So as you're applying, they already have a system in place that just does whatsoever thing they want to check, and in less than a few minutes, your application has been approved. And once it's approved, because your bank details is attached to the application, you receive the funds. You don't need to pay collateral. You don't need to go through the rigorous bureaucracy that has to do with getting loans. So the ease to access the fund is the major catch. But sadly, most Nigerians don't understand the difficulty or the huge concerns that they are exposing themselves to. And one of it is the fact that before you apply for these loan apps, a whole lot of data needs to be requested for, would be requested for. You have to fill in information that are not even necessary. And in fact, I was even speaking with a friend who happened to be the director of the Nigerian Cybercrime Center, National Cybercrime Center. And he was saying his major concern was the fact that there is no KYC for these people. So even though, yeah, we are kudos to what Dr. Vincent and the FCCPC they are doing. I've heard about the good work that they are doing. Kudos to them. But again, there's a whole lot of gaps as regards to how these guys need, because some of these guys are not even, they don't even have a company. Some of them that operate, they don't operate with we're not even talking about you getting a license now. You don't even have a company. You can just get an app, design the app, put the app up there. Anyone that sees the app, once somebody tries it and it pays the person, kudos. The person begins to spread via guerrilla form of marketing, sharing it via mouth to mouth. I applied for this loan and in less than 5 minutes I get it. I got my fund, and before you know what's happening, everybody's applying for this thing through the same app.
Now I want to find out from you. You are an IT expert. Is it that easy to will I say build this app and float it?
Yes, it is. There are already templates out there. And all you just need to do is to meet somebody that have done it before and say, please customize it to carry my name.
Okay.
So the template is already there, and it's just for people to just change the name, if most of these apps, they practically look alike. Some of them, they look alike because it's probably, I can assume that it's the same person that probably developed the app. So all they needed to do was to change the names to carry the brand of and in some cases, one company will have more than one application, but different names. So it's the same company for those that are registered, the same person that owns the app, but it will have a different app with a different percentage and different business model, but it's owned by the same person. Okay, so if it's about building the app, because there is already a template out there, so it means that it's easier for someone to just get. And again, we have people who need money. So if you're ready to pay, why won't someone develop the app for you?
Okay, now, Dr. Vincent. Now, you just told us there are quite a lot of them out there. How many legal loan apps do we have in Nigeria as of today?
Yes, the ones that are registered with the Federal Copyright and Consumer Protection Commission, the last count, I think there were about 181. But the other part is the fact that a lot of them are not registered, so they operate illegally. And that is why it's really difficult to track them. But with what we are doing, is like we have a national committee of regulators from different sectors. For instance, we have the FCCPC in charge of consumers' rights. You have NITDA in charge of technology. You have Nigeria Data Protection Commission, that of the issues around privacy. You have CBN in the area of regulating the financial sector, and you have ICPC, EFCC for economic crimes and financial crimes. So with all of us working together, that's why we're able to develop a kind of framework to guide the way they operate in Nigeria. And they are now compelled to register with FCCPC. And before that registration is given by FCCPC, they have to come to NDPC to look at the issue of privacy. And their principles must be clearly defined. And as well mentioned by my fellow panelists, There are so many of them that to track them is usually difficult. But the unfortunate part of it that if you get to the offices, you're able to get to the offices. You see them employing a lot of Nigerians. For instance, I think it was March 2021 that we went to Sokolo's office at Kenya. You see hundreds of people that were employed and sitting on the computer working there. And they keep saying they employ Nigerians, but we are operating legally and you say you are employing Nigerians. So it is now that they are being properly regulated that the way the mode of operation, the way they attend to people, because it's like their modus operandi before was that they will identify an economically vulnerable group in Nigeria, like those who are not financially sound, give them a loan of 50, less than 100,000, and in the default, they start sending out very damaging information about them, which has led to serious repercussions in terms of the reputation of their customers. Some have even committed suicide. There was a case of a lady that they circulated such information about her, and she said she couldn't bear the shame. She committed suicide. There was a case of another fellow, a driver, whose father received such a message. The man was already suffering from high blood pressure. The man collapsed and died. So the effect is more than the assistance they think they're offering. And that's why the regulations and the management of the way to operate Nigeria under the leadership of SCPC is really making that impact now. So as at the last count, there are about 181 of them legally registered with the FCPC now, and they came to NDPC too for their clearance before the registration was given to them by FCPC.
How can the average Nigerian know the legal apps? Is there any way of identifying the illegal apps so that they don't fall into these dangers that you just reeled out?
Yes, like I said, if you are registered with FCPC, that's a way of legalizing your operation, and there are some things you have to put on your website or portal that will show that yes, you are registered with FCPC. And in terms of your privacy policy, it will be clear, concise, and straightforward for an average Nigerian to be able to read and understand. Because what they were doing before, they were not transparent enough in their privacy policy. That most of the people that took loan from them did not even understand what they were signing into. So a lot of them, yes, they will tell you they have their terms and conditions that they will have access to their contacts on their telephone. But these people did not even read. All they wanted was quick money, which they will make available to them. So with this regulation now, all these things are being clearly taken care of in terms of their privacy policy, in terms of how they operate, in terms of what they do with the identity of Nigerians and the telephone contacts of their customers. So at least those are registered are being regulated now. And anyone that is not registered, if they are caught, is a very serious offense now.
Okay, it is still Nigeria Today. We'll take a short break now. The conversation will continue after the break. Do stay.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we're discussing the listing of loan apps, and my guests are still here with me, two gentlemen, one via Zoom and one in the studio. Now, Jafaru, you heard what Dr. Vincent said earlier on. I know some people or some Nigerians that have used these apps have said it has helped them in one way or the other, maybe economically or that or thereabout. But then again, one will, just like he also mentioned that some people have had to, because of the harassment and all of that and the exorbitant interest rates, they've run into one or two problems and all of that. Now, how can the activities of these loan apps be checked? You know, as much as we agree that they are also doing some kind of economically helpful duties.
Okay, I think the the registration that is currently going on, the regulation that is currently going on is one way it can be checked. But I believe that there is a loophole, not in the regulation, but probably in the way specific sectors that would have made, or that's supposed to have probably carry out a specific function in the course of regulating their finances. That loophole, for me, I would say the CBN that is supposed to regulate, because these guys, they work there. The reason why they do all this is because they feel as though that they are not registered. Some of them, some of them don't have a fiscal office. Some of them don't have, there is no means in which you can reach out to them. The only way you can reach out to some of them, or most of them who are not registered, is via the payment integration, because they make payment, they receive money and all that. So the only way, if they make payment and receive money, it means that there is probably a BVN attached to it, which is largely a responsibility of CBN, because they manage the whole BVN process through the bank. So what would stop them, or what would keep them in check, if they know that their finances would be touched, because they have a regulator that's talking about CBN now, who can provide all the necessary information to the actual regulators, which is FCC, PC, and Nigeria Data Protection Commission, to carry out the necessary checks that they need. Because some of these guys, they feel as though that they are in no man's land. They can do whatsoever thing they want to do. You can't trace them, you can't track them. And the only way you can lay hold of them, I believe the CBN is not doing enough in that regard. Because if they are, the regulation is not supposed to come directly from CBN, because it's a financial matter. This is a financial matter. They are giving loans, which is under the responsibility of CBN. They are releasing loans. They are collecting. Some of them even have wallet systems where you pay into the wallet and the like. So, I think CBN would need to step up.
Okay, in terms of the app itself, the operation of the app, is there any way they can be tracked? Because we're talking now about some that are not legal, some that have not been registered. They just float and, defrauding people. So,
no, if we use the word defraud, it would mean that they don't even give the money. But in this case, they give the money. But yeah, how can they be tracked? This guy can be tracked via their finances. They must have a bank account, because the money is entering an account and leaving an account. So they must have a bank account. The bank account, we should work with the assumption that all bank accounts have a BVN. So the bank account should have a BVN. And having a BVN will mean there must be somebody linked to that account. So if we have someone linked to a bank account that is operated by an assumed company or assumed firm that is giving loan and receiving funds from Nigerians, it means that they can be tracked by that information, or making that when that information is available.
Okay, now, Dr. Vincent, now, even though you said some of them are, some are illegal, they've been registered, they've been approved. Is it, will I say, compulsory, or is it safe to give out information such as the BVN in trying to access these loans?
Most of them don't even need BVN. They will ask you very simple questions and make their loan so attractive to you that, you just jump at it and, you will meet my immediate need. As I said, economically vulnerable good, they need 30,000, 50,000. They need to give you without any major collateral or serious scrutiny. So this is part of the way they lure people into taking such loan. And the fact about it that it's not limited to Nigeria alone. Very common in Asia. Even in the US last year, about 5 of them were really sanctioned, and some of them were fully liquidated last year. So it's a common thing. And this is part of what is coming with increasing digitalization happening globally. More importantly, with COVID that happened to us, that people could not go to banks. A lot of them, some of these apps have started working, but it's like part of the catching up that we need to do in the tech ecosystem. There are a lot of things to emerge, just like emerging technologies that are coming up. You talk of AI, virtual reality, robotics, big data, and all these things are just coming up, that a lot of countries may not have ready-made laws to regulate these emerging technologies. So this is just one platform, a sort of platform that is coming up, provide solutions to people. But at the long run, most of the things they do, they are illegal in most countries because they are not properly regulated. Not until now that we started with this process. And one good thing that we have done, we had a very successful operation where we went to Sokolo's office, and because most of them don't even have physical offices, or when they have, they move from one office to the other. They don't want you to know where they are located or have direct access to them. But we're able to track down Sokolo last, I think 2021 or so. And now we even place lien on some of their bank accounts. So we also need to work with some of the banks too, where they operate their accounts, to ensure that we work closely with them. If such bank accounts are with you, how do you regulate them? These are all the things that we need to put in place. So we don't really know how many they are now, apart from the ones that are registered with the FCCPC.
Okay, now, Jafaru, I know a lot of Nigerians have faced embarrassment as a result of these, loan apps. Now, what more can be done to sanitize this sector?
Okay, so when was it? I think some time ago, I just noticed that I began to receive a whole lot of text messages from these guys. So, and calls. I was shocked and marveled that one day I decided to, okay, because I have an application that review was calling me before I pick. So when I noticed that, I decided to pick the call. And I asked, how did you get my number? And the lady in question said there is a database. And I was shocked. That alone threw me off balance. So it means that these guys, they know each other. It's as though it's becoming more of like an organized crime. They know each other to the end that they've been able to come together to say, okay, so in case if they catch this guy, they should not take the data, because what they need, if our Nigeria Data Protection Commission and FCCPC catch any of them, the first thing is that they will have mandates them to knock off all the data of Nigerians that they have. So they have decided to centralize the database, so that in case if one person is apprehended, the database is still intact. So I think we need to look at that possibility of ensuring that no matter how we can, let's knock off that, because as long as they have a central database, it means anyone can actually come and join and begin to make money from just joining. Probably they will put up a fee before you join themselves. So it's more like an organized crime now, and we should look at it from that perspective. So let us not begin to look at it as an individual business from individuals who just want to make money. Let's begin to look at it from it being an organized crime where everybody has a role to play. And with that, I believe we can achieve more.
Okay, Dr. Vincent, one final question there. Hania just said it's becoming an organized crime. Now, is there a structure on ground to ensure that the operation of these illegal loan apps stops, or in earnest? We don't get to see it anymore. Is there a possibility?
Sorry, can you come again, please? I didn't really get that.
Structure on ground to ensure that the operation of these illegal loan apps stops in earnest?
Yes, it has to do with regulation. If you don't regulate their activities in Nigeria, the way they operate in Nigeria, you can't really control them, and that's where the structure that has been put in place by the Federal Copyright and Consumer Protection Commission, working with all the other stakeholders who are regulators in different areas that will affect the financial sector. All of us working together. I think the structure that we put in place, I'm sure it will work. And more importantly, when we're able to arrest some of them who are operating legally and use them as samples to others to see what the law can do with them in Nigeria if they don't register and if they don't comply with the law. As I said, as we speak, we are currently dealing with Soko loan, and we have even fined them. People usually find we have a lien on the account, and not until they pay their fine and they are ready to comply with the provisions of the law can they operate in Nigeria again. Any operation they go into now is illegal. So we're going to any of them that we're able to catch, we'll show them as samples to others.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Vincent. That's it on Nigeria Today. But I must thank my guests. Haniel Jafaru, IT and Cybersecurity Expert and Executive Director, HTC Academy. Thank you very much for your contribution and your time. And also, I must appreciate Dr. Vincent Olatunji, National Commissioner, Nigeria Data Protection Commission. Thank you very much for your time and your contribution also. That's it on Nigeria. With Nigeria Today, we thank you for joining us. Remember, the program Nigeria Today airs weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am your carrier, Clinton. You have a